What's going on, everybody? This is Future Automation, a place where imagination meets reality, and you're listening to Tejas. So, guys, I am extremely thankful to all the viewers who have given the great response to the first podcast that I have dropped on Saturday, which was the first episode of Weekend Talks. And if for those who have not watched it, I'll add the link in the description. You can go ahead and check it out. It was really a great experience to shoot with Abhini ma'am, and I have got a lot of insights in the world of data and data analysis. So you can go ahead and watch it. Pretty soon I'll be dropping up the second video as well. So stay tuned for that. For now, in today's video, what we are going to do is we are going to discuss about the Docker SDK, which we can use to deal with or maybe communicate with Docker and perform different actions using Python, maybe Go, and also HTTP. For this video, we are going to use Python. So with a cup of coffee, let's get started. So guys, before starting the code or the SDK explanation part, what I am going to do is I'm going to give you a quick intro about what is Docker for those who are new to this. So when it comes to Docker, what exactly is Docker? In the very simplest term that I have found out, it is a PaaS level product that we use for OS level virtualization. So VMware, what we are doing is kind of same to what Docker does, but the basic base OS or the base resources that it is using, not the OS, but the base resources that it is using is of the host OS itself. So that is one thing. Second is that it is used to deliver the software packages or the in kind of containers. What I'll be explaining in a minute. So when it comes to Docker, we in a very simplest term we have two sections or fields that you can consider in the initial level or very high level. One is image and one is container. So what image is? A image is a static read only copy of your application and the way it is supposed to get implemented in the OS or in the container. And container is a running instance of the image. So what you're doing in image actually is read only. To make it work, what you do is you create a container of that image, and this whole thing is taken care by the Docker engine itself. Now we'll go to the next slide where we'll be taking a look at the Docker architecture as a whole. So this is a simplest visualization of what Docker architecture is. So three main sections: client, daemon, and registry, from which client is nothing but CLI, remote API, Docker, desktop. All these are clients which are used to, communicate with the daemon, that is Docker engine. So that is why it is client. Next to that is the daemon. So daemon is basically the main part of the Docker, which is responsible for running the containers, taking care of the images, and managing everything, all these parts. And registry is the GitHub of Docker images. So all your images that you create, you can store in the registry. From Docker side, we have Docker Hub as the registry to store all the images, update them, and use keep them updated, and then people can pull these images and create containers out of it, kind of thing. So yeah, that is the simplest and very I can say easiest one explanation that I can give you about the Docker. So let's close the presentation and start with the SDK. Now, Docker SDK is nothing but what we are going to import in Python when it comes to Python's perspective. Same goes for the Go as well. Now in Go also you need to download this SDK so as to use it, and we can also go with the HTTP to work with API kind of things. But we are going to focus on Python as today. So I'll show you what to do. Now to install the Docker SDK, what we need to do is pip as always install docker. What you will do is it will download for you if you have not downloaded it. For me or for those who have already downloaded it, it will show that requirements are already satisfied. Now, next to that, what Docker SDK does. So with the start and the first line of the Docker SDK, what we do is import the Docker, and what it will do is it's pretty obvious. It will import the library for us to use, and then what we'll do is we'll create a client. Now, what this client will do, I'll explain in a minute. Docker.from env. So to communicate with the Docker engine, what you need to do is you need to create an instance. Now, this instance will be used to, run different containers, to get the list of containers, to stop containers, to get list of images, to delete containers, delete images, and all that stuff. So basically, you're creating an object which you can use to communicate with the Docker engine. Now, the most simplest and the first example that we are going to try is we are going to run an Alpine Linux container, and we are going to print something out of it. So Alpine is again the smallest and very lightweight Linux distribution, which is majorly used when you start with Docker to run anything. So many of the images like Python image or maybe the Node.js images that people have put up in the Docker Hub are based on the Alpine Linux container or the image. So let's go with it. So print, and then we are going to directly, print that part. So client. Now we are going to use this object client, and then we are going to do containers dot run, and then here we are going to specify which image we want to run. So alpine, and then comma, and then we are going to specify what command we need to execute in that alpine. So we are going to do that like this. So to, okay, we have an extra echo hello world. And that's it, guys. 3 lines to run a container using Python and Docker SDK. Now we are going to run this. So Python Docker SDK.py. And if you'll run, what it'll do in the backend is it will check if we are having that image. If so, it will run that as a container, and it will push this particular code here, particular command here, and it will give us an output. Hello world. If you don't have the image, what it will do is it will download the image from the Docker Hub, and it will run that as a container. So if you'll go to the Docker desktop, I'll pull in the Docker desktop here, and you can see in containers, you can see that we have created this uh, container in the containers list. And in the images, if you'll go, you can see that Alpine is already downloaded. So when I was trying this before starting the video, and I was trying to learn this, and that's how we get all the details. Now if you'll delete this, so let me delete it. Okay, so I need to first delete the container. Sorry, I've got. So we'll delete the container forever. We'll go to images, we'll delete the image. Now we'll try it one more time. And you can see that from the previous step, it will take some more time to perform the section. So it will check we have the image or not. You can see that it is taking some more time from the previous execution. The reason being is that now we don't have the image in our local. So it is going to the Docker Hub. It is taking the image, it is pulling it, it is running, creating a container out of it, and then it is running the code. Now, uh, we have created a container and we have run it. That is fine. Most of the containers that we need to execute are supposed to run in background. So then the question arises, now that we are running everything like this, we need to run this container in the background. So for that, what we'll do is we will run another container, which was provided in the documentation and of the Docker docs for the SDK, and I will link all the links in the description. So make sure you do check it out, and don't forget to try it on your own. That is really fun thing. So let's delete this. Let's run this. Okay, I took the, yeah. Now, what we need to do is we need to, you can see here that with the suggestions we can see what all commands they are providing here. So if you can see here, if the detach argument is true, it will start the container, immediately return a container object similar to the docker run slash d. So meaning that we can run using this detach argument here, and we can run the container in detach mode. So detach equals to 2, and that's it. So here we don't need to print anything. The reason being is that we are not returning here any value. Rather, we need to create another object, container, uh, container say I equals to client something something. And then what we'll do is we'll print the ID of that container. So container dot ID. As simple as that. So let's do it. Now let's so you can see here, just keep an eye on the Docker desktop as well. We don't have any container running here. So we'll run this again, and we'll wait for it to pull the image from the Docker Hub. And you can see that we have received the container ID. And if we'll go in the Docker desktop, you can see that the container is actually running in background, and this part is taken care by this Python code. So if you want to, say for example, create an Docker automation here, you can do that with this SDK. Now, next to that, we have created containers, that is fine. We have run the containers in the detached mode. Now what we need is we need to get the containers that are running in our local. We need to get the list of the containers. So for that, what we'll do is we'll run a loop as usual. So for container in client dot container dot list print container dot id. Now, a quick question though: if we are executing this particular code, what do you think? Will we get only the containers that are running, or will we get all the containers irrespective of whether it is running or not? Think for a minute. You can pause the video, of course, to think, and then decide whether we are going to get the output or not. So let's run it and see for ourselves. That's it. So here's your answer. It'll give you only the running containers, and that's it. So if I'll stop this container, and we'll wait for it to stop for a minute, for a second, whatever, and we'll try it one more time. No output. The reason is that it is only fetching the containers which are running, and not all the containers. Now, let's run this container back again, because we need to do something else. Now, you got the list. Now, what you need to do is you need to stop the containers which are running, all the containers. So, for that, what you will do is just get the instance of the container and then stop. And now, if I will run this, will stop the container. It will take some time, of course, because it'll stop and then it will return us. And now if you check here, it has stopped. So yeah, what we're done with is creating a container in detach mode, getting the list of the containers, and then stopping all the containers. Now, what we need to do is the major thing that we need to deal while working with containers is to understand how to debug a container if there is an issue. So, say for example, if I'm running this container here, okay, We are running this container and it's running. So what we need to do is now we need this ID for sure. We can take that from the list as well by displaying it, but we should not do everything in that same manner always. So we'll create a object container, and then we'll do client dot containers dot get, and then in single quotes we'll paste the ID. Now this particular function, what it is doing is it is getting an instance of this container and passing it in this variable. So whatever we want to do in this particular container, now we can perform with that particular uh, object variable. So now to print the logs of this container, what we do is container container. Okay, this is it. It's by mistake, I think. Yeah, it's container dot logs. Yep, and logs. Yeah, and I think that's it. So if you'll run this code, you can see you can get the logs here. Now they are not in the most readable format, but you'll get a gist of what exactly I'm trying to explain. Next to that, we have dealt with the containers. Now what we do is we deal with the images. So we'll create one more file, Python Docker SDK images dot py, and here we'll deal with the images. So let's clear it out. Import Docker client. We create the instance of the Docker environment or engine, you can say. Client equals to Docker dot from n, and from image in client dot images dot list. Oh, sorry. For it's a type. Yeah. Next to that, what we'll do is we'll print image dot id, and that's it. Go ahead and run again. Okay, it's still okay. Sorry, I executed the wrong code, wrong file. Python Python Docker SDK images. Not Python. We have two images. We have the list of two images. You can see here we have two images. So if by any chance I'll delete, say for example, the Alpine one, before that I think I need to remove it. So Alpine is removed. Now we go to images. If we'll remove this, and if I'll run one more time, I should get only one name, and that's it. So this is the list of image. Now if you want to pull an image from the Docker Hub, say, so what we'll do, we'll use image as an object or a variable equals to client dot images dot pull, and then we'll specify the name of the image. So if we'll specify Alpine here, and if we'll print image dot id, and if we'll execute this, yeah, it will pull the image, and then it will give us an id back. So if you'll remember, I have already removed the image of Alpine, but you can see here now that it is downloaded and the status is in unused because we have not created any container out of it. So if I'm to create a container from here, then it will use the same image that we have downloaded, and it will not take much of a time. So that's the basic idea. So guys, yeah, that's it guys. Basically this was just an intro video to the Docker SDK with Python, and I think it was pretty easy one for you to get the gist of what exactly we are looking in the coming video. So the next part of the video is something I have planned, and I'm expecting that we can do some more automation out of the Docker SDK. And we'll do it, so we'll create our own Docker desktop kind of thing to automate the work with the Docker in our systems and in the servers. So stay tuned for the next video. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, share the video for those who are containerization enthusiasts and who are looking into different ways to control the Docker containers and images. And if you're new, it's fine, because this is just a basic video to understand how the Docker SDK works. So I think anyone can understand it, and I'll link all the links in the description, so make sure you check the description out. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe the video, hit the comment section for any kind of issues. I have been trying to respond to all the comments that are being added in the videos for the people who are having some issues or for any kind of feedbacks. So make sure you hit the comment section if you need any help or you have any issue in the codes. And again, as always, I'll add all the code in the GitHub, and I'll add the steps as well in the README file. So make sure you check it out. And that's it, guys. Keep innovating. Thank you for watching the video. Take care.